That means at a time, one process can execute in its critical section. What the thing? Critical section is that part of the code, or it is a segment of code in which the processes can change the shared data like the common variables. They can operate the tables right into the common files. So when one process is in its critical section, no other processes are allowed to enter the critical section. At a time, only one process can execute in its critical section. Okay. So now the critical section program is used to design a protocol that the processes can use to cooperate. So before applying the synchronization mechanisms, the program will be restructured as a critical section program. So critical section program is to design the protocol that the processes should use for cooperation. Now each process must ask the permission to enter into the critical section. So that part of the code where the process is asking permission to enter into the critical section is known as entry section. After entry section, there is the critical section. So in the critical section, the process change the shared data, update the shared data. After critical section, again there is a set of code specifying the exit section, so that the other processes which are waiting to enter into the critical section, they will able to enter now. And the remaining code of the process is known as remainder section. So now the same process is structured containing your entry section, critical section, exit section, and remainder section. So just check. This is the general structure of the process PI. Okay, any process. Now it is structured as a critical section program like this. So now critical section is that segment of code where the process can update the or change the shared data. Before entering the critical section, there should be some part of the code where the process will ask the permission to enter the critical section. That is your entry section. After completing the critical section, again the process will allow the other processes, or you may send the message to other processes that it has completed its execution in the critical section by writing the code in the exit section. And all other remaining code of the process is known as remainder section. Clear? So after this, how many programs we are going to discuss? Mainly we are going to structure it in this four part: entry section, critical section, exit section, remainder section. Now, when we are going to propose any solution to the critical section problem, okay, using any type of synchronization mechanism, that solution should satisfy three requirements. One is your mutual exclusion, another one is the progress, and third one is the bounded waiting. So remember, solution to the critical section program must satisfy three requirements, all the three requirements: mutual exclusion, progress, and bounded waiting. Now what is mutual exclusion? So as I have told you, at a time only one process can execute in its critical section. No other processes can execute at that time in the critical section. So that is known as mutual exclusion. According to the mutual exclusion property, at a time only one process can execute in its critical section. No other processes are allowed at the same time to enter their critical section. Now coming to the next requirement, that is progress. If no progress is executing in its critical section and there exist some processes that wish to enter the critical section, then the selection of the processes that will enter the critical section next cannot be postponed indefinitely. Suppose one process has completed the critical section, there is no other processes in the critical section currently, and some other processes are waiting to enter the critical section. Then the selection of that process to enter the critical section, it should not be postponed indefinitely. Okay? Within some finite amount of time, some process needs to enter the critical section. The processes waiting to enter the critical section should not wait indefinitely. That was the requirement of the second property, that is progress. Now come to the third requirement, that is bounded waiting. Now there should be a bound on the number of times other processes are allowed to enter the critical section after a process has made a request to enter the critical section and before that request is granted. Suppose one process has made a request to enter the critical section, but during that time some other process is executing. That means it is waiting now. So remember, while the process is waiting and when it will again get the critical section, within that means when the process requests to enter the critical section and before the request is granted, there should be a bound. How many number of times, how many number of processes are allowed to enter their critical section? It is not that without bounded waiting there will be starvation. Okay, the process may wait for a longer period of time. It will never enter to its critical section. So there should be a bound that between the request and the request is granted, this much number of processes can allowed to enter the critical section. Now again, there are two assumptions used. Assume that each process executes at non-zero speed, and there is no assumption concerning the relative speed of the in processes. So you remember, solution to a critical section problem must satisfy these three requirements: mutual exclusion, progress, and your bounded waiting. Now, there are also two approaches used for handling the critical section in your operating system. One, using the primitive kernel and non-primitive kernel. Okay, the two general approaches used to handle critical section operating system are your primitive and non-primitive kernels. Normally, your primitive kernel allows a process to be preempted while it is running in the kernel mode. Okay, primitive kernel allows function of the processes while running in the kernel mode, whereas a non-primitive kernel does not allow a process running in the kernel mode to be preempted. So that means here it will run until it exits the kernel mode. So as the non-preemptive kernel does not allow the process running in the kernel mode to be preempted, or a kernel mode process will run until it exits the only until it exits the kernel mode or blocks or voluntarily yields the control of the CPU. So your non-preemptive kernel is always free from race condition. Remember, non-preemptive kernel is free from race condition because while one is executing in the kernel mode, no other processes are allowed to enter. Whereas in preemptive kernel, it is allowed. So your preemptive kernels needs to be designed very carefully. Otherwise, they may face the race conditions. But again, there is more preference even for designing your preemptive kernel over your non-preemptive kernel. Because your preemptive kernel are more responsive. Since there is a less risk that a kernel mode process will run for an arbitrarily long period before releasing the processor to waiting processes. Okay. So your preemptive kernel is also more suitable for your real-time programming, as it will allow your real-time process to preempt a process currently running in the kernel. So better you remember one thing, with the non-preemptive kernel there will be no race condition, but preemptive kernel maybe there is the chance of the race condition, so there needs to be designed so carefully. Now let's discuss with the first approach of synchronizing a critical section problem, or you may tell that solution to a critical section problem. That is your Peterson's solution. Okay, so we are first going to discuss with a Peterson solution, or that is a solution to a critical section problem. So Peterson solution, it is a two-process solution. Okay, at a time it is restricted to two processes. Peterson's solution, it is a classic software-based solution to your critical section. Remember this. Peterson's solution is a classic software-based solution to the critical section problem. But it is restricted to two processes that alternate the execution between their critical sections and the remainder sections. Suppose you assume that your load and store machine language instructions are your atomic. That is, they cannot be interrupted. Now here, the two processes are numbered as P0, P1. So, if in general you are considering one process is represented by Pi, then other will be represented as Pj, where j equals to 1 minus I. Now, Peterson's solution requires two processes to share some data items. Now, what are those two data items? One is an integer variable named as torn. Okay. Another is a array of type boolean having size 2. Name of that array is flat. So it is using two variables. One is your torn, another one is the flat. Torn simply one integer variable, flat it is a boolean variable. So being boolean, either it will store the value true or false. Now the variable torn, it indicates which turn it is to enter the critical section. Okay. Now the flag array is used to indicate if a process is ready to enter its critical section. Now, if the flag I equal to true, this value indicates that the process Pi is ready to enter its critical section. Got the thing? So remember this two part. The Peterson solution used two more variables which are going to be shared by both the processes. One is a Ton variable of type integer, another is a flag variable of type boolean, which is actually an array of size 2. Ton variable indicates which ton it is to enter the critical section, which process now is allowed to enter the critical section. Now flag array indicates if the flag I, there are two processes, so if the flag 0 is true, that means process P0 is ready to enter the critical section. If flag 1 is true, that means process P1 is ready to enter its critical section. So now come to the Peterson solution. So carefully all of you just take the code. So here it is the structure of the process Pi. Okay, this is the general structure of any process. It may be P0, it may be P1. So general structure of the process Pi. So as I have told you, your critical section problem, it is uh, mainly structured as mainly structured to contain an entry section, critical section, exit section, and the remainder section. So critical section where it is going to change the variables, shared variables. Remainder section, other part of the code. So now come to the entry and the exit section. So using the Peterson solution, look at the entry section, what are the codes written. First thing, flag I equal to true. Okay, as I have told you, when Pi is ready to enter its critical section, at that time the flag I is set to true. Then after that, it will make the ton equal to j. So ton value indicates which ton to enter the critical section. Then next, while flag j and ton equal to j. So if both the conditions are true, flag j is true and ton equal to j is true, then the process Pi will wait. It will do nothing. That's why after representing the two conditions in the while statement, there is a semicolon provided. So that semicolon means it will do nothing. It will not proceed to the next one. There is nothing in the loop of the while statement. So repeatedly it will check that condition there only. Doing nothing. It will wait. So that means the process Pj is in its critical section. If any one of the condition in the while statement is false, so the process Pi can enter into the critical section. And after completing the critical section, it will simply set the flag I to false. And it can execute its other code that is in the remainder section. So remember, to enter the critical section, process Pi first sets its flag I to be true and then sets the ton value to j. So by this, if other process wish to enter the critical section, it can also do the same thing. If both processes try to enter at the same time here, remember, the ton will be set to both I and j at roughly the same time. But only one assignment will be there for the ton. Applicant ton cannot contain both the value I and j, because the other value will be simply overrated. So the eventual, so the final value of that term determines out of the two processes which is allowed to enter the critical section first. Okay. which is allowed to enter the critical section first. So now before discussing in details the example of the Peterson solution, all of you now attend the quiz.
Ma'am, I haven't submitted the response, ma'am. Please open it for 1 minute.
Not possible now.
Just a minute, ma'am.
So let's start the discussion of the Peterson solution. So just say if the bounded buffer problem, if the same producer consumer problem will be restructured as the critical section problem, can you tell me, just looking at the code, which part of the producer process, which line comes under your critical section? So here producing an item in next P. While the producer is producing the item in the next P, there is no link with the consumer. So it cannot hamper anything with the consumer. There is no shared data being used here. While counter equal to buffer size. So it is comparing the counter variable. So while the producer is comparing the counter variable, if the consumer will update the counter variable, then there may be inconsistency. So this may be put inside the critical section. Buffer in equal to next P. Buffer is a shared data. So producer is updating the shared variable, shared buffer. So that also comes under your critical section. Counter plus plus. Counter is a shared data. So that is also a critical section. So here this much to this much line you can put in the critical section for the consumer process, so for the producer process, and all other code related to the producer process can be put in the remainder section. Similarly, here in case of your consumer process, this line to this line, while it is operating the shared data, it remains in its critical section. The other codes related to your remainder section. So now, beside the critical section, remainder section, we have to add the entry and the exit section. So using the Peterson solution, already I have told you the 3 lines you have to put in the entry section and 1 line related to the exit section. So there are 2 processes. So here separately I have represented the code related to the process P0 and to the process P1. So carefully just check. So here related to process P0, the first 3 lines, these are the 3 lines related to your entry section. This is the critical section and this code is the exit section. So for process P0, the entry section includes the line flag 0 equal to true, turn equal to 1, then it will check while flag 1 and turn equal to 1. Both the conditions true, then there is a semicolon here, that means it will do nothing. Simply repeatedly check the condition. If any one of these condition is false, then it will enter to the critical section. After completing its task in the critical section, it will move to the exit section where it will make flag 0 equal to false. Okay, and all other remaining codes that it comes under your remainder section. Similarly, for process P1, these 3 lines related to your entry section. Where flag 1 is set to true, then it makes the turn value to 0. After that, it will check the condition while flag equal to 0 and turn equal to 0. There is a semicolon here, that means it will do nothing because the process P0 is in its critical section. If any one condition will be false, then only the P1 can enter to the critical section. And after completing the critical section, it will move to the exit section where simply it will make the flag 1 to false. Initially it has made the flag 1 to true, now it will make the flag 1 to false. So to better understand how it works, whether the 3 requirements of the critical section problem, the mutual exclusion, progress and bounded waiting are satisfied or not, let's discuss with the example. Suppose consider a case 1. Okay, suppose consider the first case. Here P0 P1 can start its execution concurrently at any time. Okay, there may be different possibilities. So here I am discussing with 1. Let initially P0 start its execution. Okay, let initially P0 starts. At any order, P0, P1 can start their execution and can continue. So let initially P0 starts. So the shared, they are using the shared data turn and the flag. So initially the value of turn, initial value of the turn is 0. The shared object initially turn is 0. And there is your flag, which is an array. Boolean array. So as there are 2 processes, so flag size is 2. Already I have told you. This is the 0th index, this is the index 1. So here the value stored is initially, let us assume the values are false. So let initial value of ton is 0 and the flag array contains false box. Now P0 let's start. So the first statement it execute flag 0 equal to true. So now it will make this one to true. Flag 0 is now true. Now the next statement has executed, so it has made flag 0 to true. It has executed flag 0 to true. It has also executed the second statement. Till now also P1 has not started. It has made turn to 1. It has executed the next statement, that is turn to 1. And after that it starts executing the third statement. That means the while statement. So while flag 1, what is the value of flag 1 now? Just check. What is the value of flag 1 now? Who will tell me? What is the value of flag 1 now? Yes. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the value of flag 1 now? Look at the flag
False.
as false. So in the while condition, it will check the first condition is false. And what about the second condition? Turn equal to 1. Condition is true or false?
True.
True. So in the while statement, false and true. Overall it is false and true. Overall condition is
False.
false. So what will happen to P0 now? What will happen to P0 now? If the while condition is false, it is not going to execute this semicolon. Okay. So what it will do? It will enter to its critical section. Next part. So now it enters the critical section. P0 enters critical section. Now while P0 is executing, let at this point, while P0 is executing, let at this point P1 now starts. Okay. While P0 is executing in its critical section, let P1 starts. So after P1 start, it will execute the first statement, that is flag 1 equal to true. So now it makes flag 1 to true. It has executed the first one, that is flag 1 equal to true. Okay. Then the second statement also it has executed turn equal to 0. So now after executing the second statement, turn value is now set to 0. Now here, when P1 will execute its third statement, that means this while statement, flag 0. What is the value of flag 0 now? What is the value of flag 0 now?
True.
True. So P1 check the first condition, flag 0 is true. What about the second condition? Turn equal to 0. Condition is true
True.
or false? What is the value
True.
of turn now? 0. So turn equal to 0. Condition is true or false? Yes.
False.
How false? Here,
True, ma'am.
true. Already P1 has executed the first statement, the second statement. Now it is in the third statement. So after executing the second statement, just check here the turn value has been changed to 0. So while it will check the condition, it will find both the conditions are true. So what it will do? Both the conditions are true means what the P1 will do? It will do nothing. It will wait. Where there is a semicolon, just check. So P1 will wait. There is a semicolon here. That means if both the conditions are true, it is executing the semicolon. Again, check the condition. So that means here P1 is repeatedly going to check that condition, doing nothing. Check the condition, doing nothing. That means here P1 is not allowed to enter the critical section. That was the property mutual exclusion. Yes or no? According to the mutual exclusion property, at a time, only one process is allowed to enter the critical section. So here, when P0 is executing in its critical section, P1 is not allowed to enter. So it satisfied your mutual exclusion property. Got the thing? Got the thing? Or any doubt? Any doubt up to this?
No, ma'am.
So now let P0 complete its critical section. After completing critical section, what is the statement going to be executed by the process P0? Flag 0 equal to false. So that means now P0 after completing its critical section, while P0 is executing its critical section, P1 has executed the first two lines, but in the third line, that means while it was executing the while statement, it stops there, doing nothing, repeatedly checking the condition. P1 is not able to proceed further. That means P1 is not allowed to enter its critical section. Now, by this type, let P0 completed its critical section, and after completing its critical section, it set its flag value to true. Sorry, flag value to false. Flag 0 equal to false. So previously the flag 0 was true. Now it has again made that flag 0 to false. Okay. Now after that it will move to its remainder section. Now here when the P0 makes the flag 0 to false, the P1 which was simply talking at that while statement, it will find the flag 0. That means the first condition is now false. So P1 when check the condition, it will find false and true. So overall condition is now become false. So now P1 is able to enter its critical section. Got the thing? So here, after P0 completed its critical section, in its exit section, it has made the flag 0 to false. So that is an indicator now to the process P1. Process P1 by that time was waiting. It is not able to enter the critical section. Repeatedly, it was checking the condition in the while statement and doing nothing. Now, once P0 makes the flag 0 to false, here in the P1, which was repeatedly checking that while condition, it finds the flag 0 is now set to false. So one condition set false means now the overall condition is false. So now it will come out of that while loop. And P1 enters the critical section. So now while P1 is executing in its critical section, P0 already gone from that part. It has doing its remainder section, or maybe after completing the remainder section, once again it has entered into its entry section. So here what we find, it has satisfied the mutual exclusion. It has also satisfied the progress. So just check. While P0 completed its critical section, by specifying the statement flag 0 equal to false, P1 automatically entered to the critical section. So there is a progress. That means there is a process enters into the critical section when no other process are there in the critical section. So the progress is also satisfied. Now this solution also satisfy your bounded waiting condition. So after P0 here there are only two processes. While P1 is requesting, it is not that indefinitely, it is waiting to enter the critical section. Once the P0 has made the flag 0 to false, P1 is allowed. So there is a bounded waiting here also. So what we find here, this solution satisfy all the three requirements, that is mutual exclusion, closeness, and your bounded waiting. So here we have discussed one case where your after P0 has entered to the critical section, P1 started. Now let's assume P0, P1 both started their execution simultaneously. Let's check what will happen. That is our case 2. So let again assume that initially turn is 0 and the flag array having size 2 initially let contain the value false. Okay, let's consider the case 2. Let here P0 starts, execute the flag 0 equal to true. Execute its last statement, that is flag 0 equal to true. So that means it has made this one to true. Now at this point let P1 starts. It is not that in the previous example I have told you P0 is executing in its critical section and P1 starts. But let here P0, P1 start simultaneously while P0 is executing its first segment, P1 starts. And P1 also executes its first segment, that is flag equal to 1. It executes its first statement, that is flag 1 equal to 2. So now it has also set to true. Now after that, let P0 while executing the statement turn equal to 1. Just check carefully. While P0 is executing its statement turn equal to 1, P1 is also executing its statement turn equal to 0. So turn is a shared variable. If simultaneously P0, P1 are going to set the value, ultimately either the value will be set to 0 or 1. Simultaneously it will not store both the value. Turn is an integer variable. So just check, though P0, P1 simultaneously trying to update the value of turn, but the turn will keeps only one value. Either it may be 1 or it may be 0. So when both P0 will execute, both P0, P1 will execute their while statement. P0 is also executing its while statement and P1 is also executing its while statement. Both will find when P0 will check flag 1 already set to true. So it has been true. Similarly for P1, flag 0 already set to true. So it will also find flag 0 is true. But here the second condition, turn equal to 1 and here it is turn equal to 0. So the order in which turn has been updated, either the turn will store 1 or will 0. So if turn will set 1, that means this condition will be true for P0 and P0 can enter to the critical section. If turn was set to 0, that means the second condition will be true for the process P1 and P1 can enter to the critical section. In that case, the other process automatically going to wait. Got the thing? So though simultaneously both the processes start its execution, they have also simultaneously updating the flag value, turn value. But remember, at a time turn can store only one value. Either it can store the value 1 or it can store the value 0. So when both are going to check in their while statement, any one of them will get both the condition true, not the both. So accordingly, any one process can enter to its critical section. So that means automatically the mutual exclusion property is preserved. So Pi enters the critical section only if either the flag J is false or turn equal to I. So through the example we have discussed, we have proved that the Peterson solution satisfies all the three requirements: mutual exclusion, progress, and the bounded weighting. But here there is the drawback that Peterson solution is restricted only to two processes. Okay. So next class we are going to discuss with another synchronization tool. Now all of you respond to your roll call. Abhijit Raut, respond to your roll call. Okay. I want to know, all of you have registered into your Moodle? Yes. Jyotish?
No, ma'am, I haven't. What's that module?
You don't know anything, no? Okay, who is your coordinator? Class, who is your representative?
Ma'am, the one link that is sent by NM ma'am about that module, that link only.
Have you used that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, that one I have registered.
Yes, ma'am, we have registered.
Yesterday only.
It is required that all of you should register using that link. Can you confirm me that link once again?
Yes, ma'am, 1 second.
Ah. Yes, it is correct. Yes, I have checked that. It is correct. So all of you please complete your registration process in that link, because further I am going to send the lecture notes, your assignments, lab or theory assignments through that module, and you have to also, after I have told you, you have to also submit your assignments in that platform. So within 1 or 2 days, try to complete your registration process in the module, and through which mail ID you have completed your registration. Simply, who is your class representative? Jyotish?
Jyotish ma'am.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
it's me.
So your task is to collect through which mail ID you have registered in your in that module. Collect that and send to me. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
So by tomorrow you complete that process.
Okay, ma'am.
So I expect by tomorrow Jyotish will give me all those mail IDs who have registered. It is not all that, it is compulsory for all.
All right, ma'am.
Abhijit, Ankit Das,
Present, ma'am.
Simon Pradhan, Partha Sarathi Malik,
Present, ma'am.
Tanya Jha, Asutosh Mishra,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Nikhil Kumar,
Present, ma'am.
Rahul Senapati,
Yes, ma'am. Present.
Ayushman Ray,
Present, ma'am.
Chandrakant Gupta,
Present, ma'am.
Atish Raj,
Yes, ma'am.
Jyotish Rai,
Present, ma'am.
Pratyush Patel,
Present, ma'am.
Anup Kumar Mukherjee, Hariom Kumar,
Yes, ma'am.
Sandeep Misra,
Present, ma'am.
Trivikram Patnaik,
Present, ma'am.
Priti Ranjan Biswal,
Yes, ma'am.
Rajiv Dubey,
Present, ma'am.
Sikriti Modak,
Present, ma'am.
Sambit Kumar Sahu,
Present, ma'am.
Vishnu Murari Sharma, Rihan Ahmad Khan, Divya Prakash Naik, Akan Chatterjee,
Present, ma'am.
Asutosh Sinha,
Present, ma'am.
Debajyoti Das,
Present, ma'am.
Shikhar Swarup,
Present, ma'am.
Soumya Mahapatra,
Present, ma'am.
Shirsak Samantray,
Present, ma'am.
Ananya Lenka,
Present, ma'am.
Kriti Chopra Mahapatra,
Present, ma'am.
Khushi,
Present, ma'am.
Neha Ranjan Pally,
Present, ma'am.
Shibulu Das,
Present, ma'am.
Nikita Rojalin Sahu, Krishna Samal,
Present, ma'am.
Abhishekar,
Present, ma'am.
Kef Mohammadi, Anjali Gaurav,
Present, ma'am.
Priyabrata Das,
Present, ma'am.
Alisa Patnaik,
Present, ma'am.
Divya Darshan,
Present, ma'am.
Aditya,
Present, ma'am.
Diksha Kumari,
Present, ma'am.
Amrit Kaur,
Present, ma'am.
Rajesh Kumar Padi, Satyanarayan Singh,
Present, ma'am.
Prajwal Kumar,
Yes, ma'am. Present.
Rupam Kumar Meher.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, now you can lead the class.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.